We want to know. We always do. Are we going to be all right? Is this going to work? Is it a good idea? Are we making the right decision? Is it going to turn out all right? We want to know. If we move forward, is God really going to be with us? When it comes to the future, when it comes to what lies ahead, we want assurance and certainty. That's where we are in the Exodus narrative. Moses and God are having another one of their heart-to-hearts. Moses is making requests, demands, or more like it. Things are pretty bad right now. We are coming off the heels of the golden calf episode, if you remember from last week. That's the one where Israel abandons their faith, trades in the God who delivered them up out of the land of Egypt, out of slavery. In the height of their anxiety, the Israelites were afraid they had been abandoned. So in what felt like God's absence, they decided that what they needed was a God that they could see and touch, a God that was a little bit closer, a little more convenient. As you know, betrayal takes a toll on relationships. So where we meet God and Moses now, God is enraged. I love this. I told people this morning, like, if you can't read the Bible and laugh a little, then you are missing the point. Go back and read the beginning of chapter 33. God is so mad. God says, y'all go on up to the land I promised you. Now, God isn't repealing the offer. God is true to the promise. But God says, look, y'all go on without me. Because if I go with you right now, I will consume you. I'm so mad I could destroy all of y'all. I can hear it now, right? And again, Moses persists. Moses says, look, Lord, if this is what you are asking me to do, then I'm going to need something from you. Moses is adamant. Everything hinges on your presence, Lord. And my paraphrase of this conversation too is Moses is kind of like, look, all of this was your idea. It wasn't mine. It was your idea. These are your people. And Moses says, Lord, without your presence, this doesn't need to happen. Call the whole thing off. We cannot go on without you. And in verse 17, God says, all right, I'll give you what you've asked for. You found favor in my sight. I know you by name, so okay. Moses, he doesn't know when to quit. In verse 18, Moses drops the really big ask. Show me your glory, he says. Now, glory is one of those really, really Bible-y words. We don't walk around talking about people's glory, or you might walk around talking about God's glory, but that's another thing. At any rate, glory means God's awesome, magisterial, mysterious, shrouded presence. Moses wants to get closer than anybody has ever been. This is so bold. Moses asks to see all of who God is. And it's because he wants assurance. He wants to know about this God who he is hoping will go with them. And I think we know the feeling. You see, but here's what happens. God is basically like, I know that's what you think you need, but it's not. I'm not going to let you see my glory. but what I'm going to give you is my goodness. And in verse 19, the Lord says, I will make all my goodness pass before you. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about this Hebrew word tov, good. It's showing up again. Moses asks to see God's glory, and God responds with goodness, tov, the generous, expansive power for life that all as it should be, ness. Tov is synonymous with the Hebrew word for shalom, a word that's impossible to translate with just one single word. Because, yeah, we say it's peace oftentimes, but shalom is more. Shalom is when through and through there is wholeness. Nothing is broken. Nothing is missing. All is as it should be. God says, this is what I'm going to give you. You want my glory, I'm giving you my goodness. You want certainty about the future, I'm promising you my presence. It's more important to know what kind of God this is than to see God directly right now. It's more important to know what kind of God this is than to see God directly right now. So I'm going to take a hard left turn here. Go with me for a few minutes because I think we're going to bring it all around. I was listening to this great podcast this week with Brene Brown, and I can post the link to that in the comments or the description here. But so this interview, it's think we've got like researchers, social workers, health professionals, even a professional musician. Kind of, it was 3 people, but it was this interview. These people kind of embodied all those things, and the subject of the podcast was about what causes burnout and emotional exhaustion and sort of stress and how it works in our life and the stress cycle. So I don't know about you, but like all that we got going on right now, my curiosity gets piqued when I hear people talking about stress or how to go about making our life more bearable right now. Like, I'm here for it. You post that article on Facebook, I'm probably going to click on it every time, right? So I learned something fascinating that has just been rolling around inside of me all week. Number one, a couple things here, but number one, this different definition for emotion, right? Because I know that we live in this culture where, like, to be emotional is to be inferior, and to show emotion is to show weakness, and there's all these awful, awful stereotypes and stigmas around emotion. And, I mean, I grew up with some of that, right? And so I learned this great definition that emotion is a cycle that happens in your body. Now, I've been kind of looking into this for a while now because I realized that there was some harmful stuff that I had to like deconstruct inside of me on this. So I've been sort of in this realm in the last few years, but I thought this was so fascinating. Emotion as a cycle that happens in your body. Emotion is a neurological event. And it's this sort of thing that is automatic, like it's involuntary. Like we don't say, now I'm going to feel happiness. Like, no, now I'm going to feel resentment. No, it happens. It's a neurological event, and that affects everything in us because that's how things are controlled in our body, right? And so because it's a neurological event and a cycle that happens in the body, we call it feeling for a reason, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end to it. All right, that's the first thing. Now, here's the other part. Stress and stressors. Defining the difference between the two. Explanation here is stress is what we experience, the feeling that we experience in the body. Stressors are what trigger that feeling, right? So the stressors are the things in the environment, right? Now, I found this story very helpful. They told it in the interview. Imagine you're walking through the woods and a hippopotamus begins to chase you, right? Hopefully, what you do is you start to run. You take off. You try to find safety. You're running through the woods. There's a clearing. You come upon a house. There's somebody on the porch, and the person says, "Come inside. Take cover. You're safe here." So you run into the house, take a breath, and you look out the window and realize, also learned this week, but apparently a hippopotamus doesn't have much endurance or stamina. So you running into the house gives just enough time for the hippo to wear itself out. It wanders away. What do you feel? Happy, right? Joyful. So relieved. You're happy to be alive. You look out, the sun is shining brighter than it was before. You feel relief and gratitude. You hug the stranger. You're so joyous, right? Now, it's easy to think that the hippo going away is what made you feel better. But it's not. Because guess what? Your body had no idea that there was a hippopotamus out there. What actually made your stress go away in that moment was the running and the connection. Because your body didn't know that there was a hippo behind you, but what your body did know was that you were moving fast, you were running, and then your body understood what happened when you connected with someone safe. And so it was actually those behaviors that said to your body, it is okay. The world is a safe place for you to be again. The behavior, not the environment, triggered that physiological change. Okay, what's important about this is this. Removing the stressors does not mean the stress cycle is complete. You do have to deal with the stress that is left after those stressors go away. But the good news is that you don't have to wait for the stressors to go away to feel better. You have to do something to tell your body that you are safe. If not, your body will stay in that state where the neurochemicals and the hormones are ramped up, and it's not allowing every system inside of us, our immune system, our digestive system, cardiovascular. I'm way out of my zone here. Like, I don't even do science. But at any rate, all these things in our body, they will not relax unless we do something to send our body the signal that it's okay to relax. Our bodies don't know that there was a hippo out there. Our bodies don't know that we just turned in a huge paper that was due. Our bodies don't know that it's tax season. Our bodies don't know that we're in the middle of a highly contested, polarized election cycle. We have to speak a language that our body understands, right? Removing the stressor does not mean that the stress cycle is complete, but we don't have to wait for the stressor to go away in order to feel better. What on God's green earth does this have to do with Exodus? Here's my take. I think we're a lot like Moses. I think that what we really want is a little bit of certainty, especially now. I think that we also long to see God and to see proof, to see some evidence that we aren't alone and that we're going to be okay. I think that sometimes we want God to take away the stressor. Show me your glory, Moses asked. Let me see you plainly. We think the remedy for the stress is to remove the stressor. I can't see, and so I don't know. And because I don't know, I'm worried and I'm afraid. Make this situation be different, Lord. If you change what is out there, then I will feel better in here. Change my environment. Adjust all these external factors, Lord, and alter the things that are making me feel this stress, and then I'll be okay. God doesn't give access to His glory. God sends goodness. It's as if the Lord is saying, I'm giving you a way to make it better now, and a way that will make it better in whatever situation you find yourself in. You think you need to see me? That's not what you need. Because if you see me now in this moment, great. But what happens tomorrow? And the day after that? And the week after that? You're going to have to keep coming back again and again and again. I've got something better. Going forward, you're going to have my goodness. You don't have to wait until everything on the outside changes. You don't have to wait until what you see is different in order to feel better now. You don't have to wait for the stressor to be removed to feel calm and at peace. It's important to know what kind of God this is than to see God directly right now. I want to close by leaving you with the behaviors that the people in this interview named. These are the ways that when we get stuck, we can keep moving through the stress cycle. So when you are feeling some type of way, as I like to say, and you don't know what to do and you feel stuck, we know that feeling. You know when you feel stuck. There are ways, there are things that we can do, very concrete behaviors that we can do that tells our body that we're safe again. Now they use the language of moving through the stress cycle, but here's what I think. I think that these behaviors help us posture ourselves in such a way that we can pay attention to God's presence. I think that these are also ways of praying. If praying is paying attention, and what we need when we feel stuck is to be safe, then what we need is to know that God is near. So when it feels like God is not near, these are the things we can do. I'll go through them really quickly with you, but the first one is physical movement. We have to move our bodies. Emotions are cycles that happen in our body, so we have to move it around. It doesn't mean you have to start training for a marathon or even a 5K. Just stand up. Wave your arms around. Do a little dance in the kitchen. Just move your body. You got to just move it, right? Number 2 is breathing. We know this. We've talked about this so much. You've seen this in other places. Come back to the breath. It is always available. Slow breathing in, really slow breathing out. You do that for 1 minute. It down-regulates your entire nervous system. It literally changes your brain. Number 3 is positive social interaction. something, anything that is positive with somebody else. And they make this great point that it can just literally be like going to the grocery store and like telling somebody that you like their shirt, or them saying something like that to you. Like that positive interaction, it can literally tell our body, you're home. You're all right. Number 4 is laughter. Lord have mercy. Like, y'all, there's a reason they call that medicine, right? Laughter is so important, and it can't be that polite kind. It has to be that borderline embarrassing, throwing your head back, like making everybody stare at you, that belly laugh. You know what you can do? Just call somebody and remember something funny. Like that can do it right there. Number 5, affection. Everybody loved this in church this morning when we were here together, but I heard they said that a 20-second hug can have the same effect as a 2-mile run. Now, we had to make the distinction that in calories, that is not by any means true, so I'll put that out there. But in the other ways, in the ways that the science way, a 20-second hug, leaning into somebody. Number 6, a big old cry. I know. We say these things all the time. Things like, well, why are we crying about it? Won't do any good. Blah, 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 blah. Won't change anything. I know. You think you're so big and tough, like, you ain't got nothing on me. But you know what? Our body needs it sometimes. And I love the people on the podcast. They made this great suggestion that, like, when you feel a cry coming on, rather than fight it and stuff it down, unless, of course, you're in a place where that's not appropriate, rather than focus on why you're crying, let your body go there and focus on the mechanics of it. That's so brilliant. Like, is there snot in my nose? How many tears are coming down? Do I need a Kleenex? Like, blah, blah, like, focus on the mechanics of it. And the great thing about it is that, like, your body will go there, it will do its thing, and then a few minutes later, it'll stop. Chances are you'll feel better after it does. Last but not least, number 7, creative expression. I know, not all of us are like little Picassos in the making, so it doesn't have to be literal art. Creative expression could be so many different things. It could be designing something. It could be working in your shed. It could be crocheting. It could be yarn or paint. It could be that, or music. But it's about getting what's on the inside outside. I call working in my yard and digging around in plants and all that, I call that art, like it could be, but it's getting what's on the inside of you, expressing it, getting it on the outside. The people in the interview said this: to be well is not to live in a perpetual state of calm and safety, but to move fluidly from a place of adversity, adventure, risk, or excitement back to safety and calm and out again. Stress is not bad for you. Being stuck is bad for you. Friends, I'll leave you with this good news. God is a God of goodness, tov, shalom, mercy. God sees your pain, hears your cries, responds to what we ask, and promises us presence. The assurance is that we don't have to wait until all the things on the outside go away in order to feel better now. Exodus 33:14. My presence will go with you, says the Lord, and I will give you rest. Amen, and may it be so.